is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, first, the U.S. Justice Department has quietly dropped its claim that Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles is an actual drug cartel tied to President Nicolas Maduro. Prosecutors now describe it as a patronage system and culture of corruption, backing away from the previous kingpin narrative. Oil ownership. The UN says Venezuela's oil belongs to its people. The White House insists it will oversee the country's oil with millions of barrels slated for U.S. distribution. In West Africa, Burkina Faso says it's topped a plot to kill President Ibrahim Traoré, accusing ex-leader Paul-Henri Damiba of orchestrating it from Ivory Coast. Tensions in East Asia. Japan protests China's new dual-use export controls, calling them unacceptable and contrary to international norms. Beijing insists the move is justified. In North Korea, President Kim Jong-un inspected a war memorial site in Pyongyang, even operating a forklift as the regime builds a museum for DPRK troops reportedly killed in Russia-Ukraine conflict. In the Philippines, former COMELEC Commissioner Rowena Guanzon says U.S. President Donald Trump is likely aware of alleged drug use by Philippine President Marcos Jr. And in entertainment, Disney's live-action Tangled is back on track with Tegan Croft as Rapunzel and Milo Manheim as Flynn Rider, moving the long-awaited remake forward. I'm Carlo de la Peña. Newsline World starts now. First set of news, Burkina Faso says it has foiled a plot to assassinate President Ibrahim Traoré, accusing the country's former leader of orchestrating the operation from neighboring Ivory Coast. Angel Pastor reports.
An assassination plot against President Ibrahim Traoré foiled by the military-led government of Burkina Faso. In a televised address, Burkina Faso's Minister of Security Mahamudu Sana provided details, saying authorities disrupted a plot scheduled for January 3rd at 8 p.m. local time.
Le 3 janvier 2026 à 23h, il était prévu une action de déstabilisation du pays. Cela allait se faire par une série d'assassinats ciblés des autorités civiles et militaires, en commençant par la neutralisation du camarade capitaine Ibrahim Traoré, chef de l'État, président du Faso, soit à bout portant, soit par une action pour miner son domicile. Après cette action, devrait suivre une action de mise hors service de la base drone et une intervention militaire terrestre des forces extérieures.
He said the operation aimed to neutralize President Traoré and other senior officials, either at point-blank range or by planting explosives at the president's residence before a ground military intervention by what he described as external forces. Sana alleged that the plot was designed and coordinated by former Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Damiba, who was ousted from power in 2022. He said Damiba's role was to plan the operation, mobilize funding, and recruit both civilian and military accomplices. The minister also accused Ivory Coast of providing financial backing for the attempted coup, claiming the latest funding tranche amounted to 70 million CFA francs of 124.6 thousand US dollars. Sana warned that all suspects would face the full rigor of the law and urged civilians not to become intermediaries in what he called destabilization attempts.
Alors, les enquêtes se poursuivent, les interpellations également se poursuivent. Alors, toutes les personnes impliquées dans cette affaire seront présentées devant le procureur du Faso et toute la rigueur de la loi s'appliquera à eux.
Damiba seized power in a January 2022 coup but was removed 8 months later by Traoré, who accused him of failing to contain the country's jihadist insurgency. Neither Damiba nor the Ivorian government have commented on the allegations. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Angel Pastor, SMNI News.
Japan has lodged a strong protest against China after Beijing announced tighter export controls on dual-use items targeting Japan, with Chief Cabinet Secretary Minoru Kihara calling the move unacceptable, regrettable, and contrary to international practice. China, however, says otherwise. Joy Tabanao for the details.
Japan has strongly protested China's latest move to tighten export controls on so-called dual-use items bound for Japan, calling the measures unacceptable and deeply regrettable. Dual-use items refer to products, technologies, or services that could be used for military or civil purposes or to contribute to an increase in military potential, especially in development, design, production, or use of weapons of mass destructions and their delivery means. China on Tuesday decided to prohibit the export of all dual-use items to Japanese military users for Japanese military use, as well as for any other end users and end-use purposes that help enhance the capabilities of Japan's military. Chief Cabinet Secretary Minoru Kihara condemned the move, saying the controls unfairly single out Japan and run counter to international trade practices, and wants Beijing to withdraw its measures.
昨日ですが、中国政府から日本向けデュアルユース品目の輸出管理の強化に関する広告が発表されたことは承知をしております。我が国のみをターゲットにした今般の措置というものは国際的な慣行と大きく異なり、決して許容できず極めて遺憾であります。外務省経済産業省及び在中国大使館から中国側に対してその旨の申し入れを行い、強く抗議するとともに措置の撤回を求めたところで。
Kihara noted that key details of the restrictions remain unclear, including which products and industries are affected. Because of this lack of clarity, the Japanese government has not yet assessed the potential impact on domestic industries. He added that authorities will conduct a careful and detailed analysis of the measures and will consider any necessary responses once the scope of implications become clearer. China, however, insists that its decision is fully legitimate, reasonable, and lawful.
我想指出的是，高市早苗首相涉台错误言论，侵害中国主权和领土完整，公然干涉中国内政，对中方发出武力威胁。为了维护国家安全和利益，履行防扩散等国际义务，中方依法依规采取措施，完全正当、合理、合法。我们敦促日方正视问题根源，反思纠错，撤回高市早苗首相的错误言论。
Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un visited a war memorial construction site in Pyongyang and was seen operating a forklift as the regime builds a museum honoring DPRK troops reportedly killed in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. According to North Korea's state media, the site is part of the Memorial Museum of Combat Feats at the Overseas Military Operations, dedicated to DPRK troops reportedly killed in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Kim was accompanied by his wife, Ri Sol-ju, and their daughter, along with senior party and government officials. State media highlighted Kim's involvement in inspecting and assisting with the construction. The visit is part of the regime's ongoing efforts to commemorate its military personnel and mark North Korea's overseas operations, but it comes amid limited transparency and ongoing international security. Up next, the U.S. Justice Department has quietly dropped its claim that Venezuela's Cartel de los Soles is an actual drug cartel tied to President Nicolas Maduro. Prosecutors now describe it as a patronage system and culture of corruption, backing away from the previous kingpin narrative. And the UN says Venezuela's oil belongs to its people. The White House insists it will oversee the country's oil, with millions of barrels slated for U.S. distribution. More news when Newsline World returns.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang maka-jackpot. Mukhang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito, unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino. Lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer ang mukha ng app. Mas madaling makaengganyo, diba? Parang safe naman kasi may kilalang mukha. Pero sa likod ng ngiti, sugal pa rin ang itinutulak. At syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan, walang kaharap, walang accountability, kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa. Ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak ng pamilya, pagkawala ng tiwala sa sarili. At tulad ng ibang bisyo, may mga senyales ito tulad ng hindi makapagpigil kahit walang pera, palihim na tumataya, pagpapabaya sa trabaho, pamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito. Pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan. Hindi ito naging prioridad ng mga nakaupo sa taas hanggang sa sobrang lumala at halos naapektuhan na ang buong komunidad. Ngayon, sa dami ng nalulung at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, sa kapalalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling, gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan. Ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na uubos sa sugal. At sa mundo ng online gambling, mas madali kang matalo kaysa manalo. Huwag hayaang sugal ang magdikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama, nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan, ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika, at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod, pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online. Hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala, sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumunong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Hoy, magnanakaw! Tingnan! Pulis ka! Hala, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Hoy, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Ano kayang gagawin ko? Ipamimigay ko yung konti para tumigil sila sa pag-iingay.
Pare, magnanakaw, namimigay ng pera.
Eto ang sayo.
Wow! Ang bait ng magnanakaw!
Eto naman sayo.
Kuya, yung share
eto
ko! Sana
Huwag ka nang maingay. Eto pa. Tama na yan. Nakikipalato lang kayo eh. Huwag nang maingay. Diba? Konti lang pinamigay ko, mabait na ako. Tahimik na sila. Easy. Ngayon, pwede ko na tong suluhin.
Masaya ang mga tao, pero tama po ba ito? Di po ba ang nakikinabang sa magnanakaw ay kasabwat ng magnanakaw?
Ikaw, kinukonsenti mo ba ang legal na korupsyon?
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon. Kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado. 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki. Mahigit 1/3 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon ayon sa schedule ng pasyente. Ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
Children will grow up and bring the joy, the love, the peace, and compassion to the whole world. We only have one planet. We only have one Earth. And I hope that this new generation of children that we have reached out will become millions and billions and bring peace on Earth. Bring peace to humanity.
Sa kabila ng mga mas modernong kaalaman at teknolohiya, nananatiling matindi ang banta ng HIV sa Pilipinas. Pero gaano nga ba kalala ang sitwasyon? Ang HIV o Human Immunodeficiency Virus ay isang sakit na sumisira sa immune system ng katawan. Ngunit tandaan, hindi ito nakukuha sa simpleng pakikisalamuha. Hindi mo agad mararamdaman, pero unti-unti nitong pinapahina ang katawan. At kapag hindi naagapan, humahantong ito sa AIDS, ang huling yugto na impeksyon, kung saan halos wala ng panlaban ng katawan laban sa sakit. Patuloy na dumadami ang kaso ng sakit na ito sa Pilipinas. Isang nakababahalang pagtaas. Umabot na
sa 500% ang itinaas ng HIV cases sa mga kabataang edad 15 hanggang 25. Ayon mismo sa Department of Health, 56 na bagong kaso ang naitatala kada araw sa bansa mula Enero hanggang Marso 2025. At ang pinakamatinding apektado, ang kalalakihan at kabataang Pilipino. Dahil dito, ang Pilipinas na ngayon ang may pinakamataas na bilang ng bagong kaso ng HIV sa buong Western Pacific region. Isang indikasyon ng lumulubahang sitwasyon, kaya nananawagan ng Department of Health gawing opisyal at urgent ang laban sa HIV sa pamamagitan ng isang Public Health Emergency Declaration. Kalalakihan ng pangunahing apektado, 95% ng bagong kaso ay lalaki, mahigit 1/4 ay kabataang nasa edad 15 hanggang 24. Habang wala pang deklarasyon, patuloy ang DOH sa mga sumusunod na hakbang: HIV testing, libreng gamot, self-test kits, at pakikipagtulungan sa DepEd para sa edukasyon sa mga paaralan. Isinulong rin ng DOH ang online patient appointment system para sa HIV patients. Layunin nitong gawing mas madali at mas personal ang pag-access sa libreng gamutan at konsultasyon. Ayon sa schedule ng pasyente, ang HIV ay hindi tulad ng flu. Hindi ito basta naipapasa sa hangin. Ito ay naipapasa sa pamamagitan ng personal na desisyon. Kailangan din nating pagtuunan ng pansin ang ugali, disiplina, at personal na responsibilidad. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
The White House says all options remain on the table when it comes to Greenland after White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt declined to rule out military action when asked directly whether the United States could seize Greenland by force. Leavitt said President Trump does not publicly limit his foreign policy options, arguing that doing so would reveal strategy to both allies and adversaries.
Are always on the table for President Trump as he examines what's in the best interests of the United States. But I will just say that the president's first option always has been diplomacy.
Leavitt also confirmed reports that the United States could seek to buy Greenland, saying the option was currently being actively discussed by the president and his national security team.
And I would point out that the acquisition of Greenland by the United States is not a new idea. This is something that presidents dating back to the 1800s have said is advantageous for America's national security.
Asked whether Trump recognizes Greenland as part of the Kingdom of Denmark, Leavitt said she had not heard him question Denmark's sovereignty, but suggested reporters raise the issues directly with the president. Trump has repeatedly said the United States needs Greenland for national security reasons, citing its strategic position in the Arctic. European leaders pushed back this week, issuing a joint statement saying that decisions concerning Greenland rest solely with Denmark and the people of Greenland. Former COMELEC Commissioner Rowena Guanzon claims it is likely that U.S. President Donald Trump is aware of alleged drug use by President Marcos Jr. NJ Mondejar reports.
The public was shocked by Senator Amy Marcos' confession during the INC rally last November. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. immediately denied the claim of his sister that he is a cocaine user. The report gained international media attention. For former COMELEC Commissioner Attorney Rowena Guanzon, it is impossible that U.S. President Donald Trump is unaware of the alleged drug use by the president.
Palagay nyo kaya hindi alam ni Trump na cocaine addict si Bongbong? Alam ni Trump yan!
Attorney Guanzon made a statement after the U.S. government arrested Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro for drug trafficking.
Inaresto nga si Maduro dahil nagda-drug trafficking Anong sinabi ni Trump? Lahat kayo, mga heads of state, ng mga drug traffickers kayo at drug users, hindi kami papayag dyan.
Guanzon warns that the Philippines could face a similar risk as the country is a transit route for drugs.
Inoprotect siyempre ng Amerika yung kanyang wants to protect its nation and its people. Alam din ng Amerika nang sumisira sa kanyang mga young people ay itong drugs. Kaya talagang matindi sila sa pagbabawal ng drug trafficking to America. And the Philippines is a transit country ng drugs. Alam din ni Trump yan.
Guanzon then urged the Filipino people not to forget the issue of the president's alleged drugs use. President Marcos Jr. previously refused to undergo a hair follicle drug test. According to Malacanang, the issue was addressed when the president voluntarily took a drug test during the 2022 campaign.
Tayo, huwag tayong magpapaloko dyan kay BBM Gang. Nakapalibot dyan sa kanya, puro adik. Kaya tingnan nyo nangyari sa atin.
Hindi ako sumama sa loob ng 3 taon dyan sa Malacanang. Dahil lang tao na doon ang inuman, ang paggamit nila ng cocaine at mga bawal na gamot.
Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondihar, SMNA News.
Sa panahon ng tag-ulan, hindi lang baha at ulan ang dapat bantayan, kundi pati na rin mga sakit na pwedeng makahawa. At dahil ngayon ay rainy season, nagbabala ang Department of Health laban sa tinatawag na wild diseases. 4 na klase ng sakit na karaniwang nakukuha ng tao tuwing maulan. Ito ang W o waterborne diseases, gaya ng pagdudumi o gastroenteritis. I o influenza-like illnesses, gaya ng sipon, ubo at lagnat. L o leptospirosis, na maaaring makuha mula sa ihi ng mga daga sa baha. At D o dengue, na dala ng mga lamok. Kapag baha, mas mabilis kumalat ang mikrobyo. Kaya't ugaliin ang paghuhugas ng kamay at agad maligo matapos lumusong sa baha. Ano ang dapat gawin para maiwasan ang wild diseases? Tumutok sa weather updates. Magsuot ng kapote at bota. Siguraduhing malinis ang iniinom na tubig. Agad kumonsulta sa health center kung may nararamdamang sintomas. Mainam din gawin ang 40 o ang taob, taktak, tuyo at takip para maiwasan ang dengue sa bahay at komunidad. Maglinis, magmasid, mag-ingat. Labanan ang wild diseases ngayong tag-ulan. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Maging alerto at handa tuwing may bagyo. Upang manatiling ligtas, narito ang ilang mahahalagang paalala. Manatili sa loob ng bahay. Iwasan ang paglabas, lalo na kung malakas ang ulan at hangin. Mag-imbak ng pagkain at malinis na tubig. Maghanda ng emergency kit. Manatiling updated sa lagay ng panahon. Maghanda ng mga flashlight at extra baterya. Panatilihing fully charged ang iyong cellphone. I-secure ang mahahalagang dokumento sa waterproof na lalagyan. Patayin ang kuryente, gas at tubig kung may banta ng pagbaha. Alamin ang iyong local emergency hotlines. Putulin o tapyasan ang mga sanga ng puno na maaaring mabuwal sa malakas na ulan at hangin. Lumikas agad kung inabisuhan ng mga otoridad. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa panahon ng kalamidad. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
Venezuela's oil belongs to its people, the United Nations said, responding to U.S. claims about managing the country's oil production. Meanwhile, the White House says Venezuela's decision will be dictated by the U.S. as millions of Venezuelan oil barrels will be turned over to the country. Paul Montibon tells us more.
The United Nations is drawing a clear line on who owns Venezuelan oil. During a press briefing in New York, UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric emphasized that natural resources in any country belong to its citizens.
The oil in Venezuela belongs to the Venezuelan people, just as the oil in Syria belongs to the Syrian people, and the natural resources of any country belong to the people of that country.
Dujarric stressed that maritime actions must follow international law after U.S. reports of capturing two Venezuelan-linked Russian oil tankers.
All law enforcement actions on the oceans and seas are to be taken in accordance with applicable international law in order to ensure maritime safety and security on the high seas. And we would want to see avoidance of any further escalation.
The spokesperson confirmed that Guterres met with Venezuela's permanent UN representative, Ambassador Samuel Moncada, offering his good offices to facilitate dialogue between the government and opposition. Dujarric declined to comment on U.S. assertions that controlling the oil would benefit Venezuelans, leaving interpretation to journalists. He reiterated that the UN does not decide the legitimacy of governments, noting that Venezuela maintains a delegation at the UN. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump said the interim authorities in Venezuela would transfer between 30 to 50 million barrels of sanctioned oil to the United States. He said the oil would be sold at market prices, with the proceeds placed under U.S. control to be used for what he described as benefit of both Venezuelans and Americans. Asked what's going to happen after the initial tranche of the 30 to 50 million barrels had been transferred to the U.S., the White House said.
I won't get ahead of the plans that the president and his team are currently speaking with the interim authorities about, but rest assured, there is a long-term plan here. Secretary Rubio and the entire team are working diligently on it, and this is just sort of the first action that you all are seeing.
Meanwhile, the White House said the decisions of Venezuela's interim government will be dictated by Washington, despite Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez insisting that no foreign power is in charge.
We're continuing to be in close coordination with the interim authorities, and their decisions are going to continue to be dictated by the United States of America.
The UN continues to monitor developments in Venezuela and calls for respect of international law and dialogue as tensions remain high. For Ghana, my beloved country, the Philippines, reporting for Newsline World, this has been Paul Montibon, SMNI News.
Sick Filipinos no longer need to seek medical assistance from politicians thanks to the government's implementation of zero-balance billing, hospitals managed by the Department of Health. Here's a report from Hannah Jane Sancho.
So sa taong bayan, zero balance billing na po ang inutos ng presidente. Bayad na ang bill nyo. Kahit 2 million, 2.7 million yung malaking bill na binayaran ng DOH para sa pasyente. Zero balance. Magpa-admit kayo sa basic accommodation at zero balance po. Hindi kayo withhold ng treatment. Treatment will be given to you.
Health Secretary Ted Hadabosa emphasized it during a palace press briefing in Malacanang regarding the implementation of zero-balance billing for Filipinos seeking treatment at DOH-run hospitals. According to the Department of Health, 22 hospitals in Metro Manila are currently implementing this policy. These include Amang Rodriguez Memorial Medical Center, East Avenue Medical Center, Dr. Josefa Belga Memorial Hospital, Jose R. Reyes Memorial Medical Center, National Children's Hospital, Philippine Cancer Center, Philippine Orthopedic Orthopedic Center, Rizal Medical Center, and San Lazaro Hospital. However, the question many citizens are asking now is, can we still request a guarantee letter from politicians? This follows the so-called anti-Apple provision stated in Republic Act number 12314, or the General Appropriations Act, which allocated approximately 6.793 trillion for the 2026 budget. According to Section 19 of the law, the involvement of politicians in the distribution of cash and other forms of financial assistance is strictly prohibited. Only authorized government officials and employees or accredited partners have the authority to carry out such distributions.
You know, constituents are free to ask assistance from their elected officials. But do they need a guarantee letter from them to get assistance? No. They can go straight to the Department of Health, and we will help them if they need help.
The DOH advises the public that they may also approach medical social welfare officers or hospital directors in public hospitals to avail of the zero billing. The Department of Health clarified the malasakit centers will not be abolished following the implementation of zero balance billing policy in hospitals operated in the agency.
Batas din yan eh. Batas din yan that was also created by law that consolidated. Repurpose siguro siya. I think what's going to happen is it will be our area where we can do patient navigation. Ang nasa malasakit center by law are PhilHealth, nandoon ang PhilHealth, so malalaman mo kung magkano makukuha mo sa PhilHealth. Number 2, DOH, so malalaman mo kung anong makukuha mo MAIP, so you can still go to a malasakit center to get the MAIP. And number 3, DSWD. Yung DSWD, nagbibigay yun ng AIX.
Meanwhile, Health Secretary Herbosa announces 70 recorded cases of super flu in Metro Manila.
So, flu is a seasonal infectious disease. Actually, we've detected the super flu here. Since we reviewed our Epidemiology Bureau's surveillance of flu cases, and we've actually detected about July, August, about 17 cases that were determined to be of the new subclass of the super flu. All of them have recovered.
According to the Secretary, the public should not worry as all the patients have already recovered. Nevertheless, the Department of Health advises that if you experience flu-like symptoms, consult a doctor immediately, take the proper medication, and get plenty of rest. For those planning to travel to countries with high numbers of super flu cases, particularly the United Kingdom and North America, they are advised to get vaccinated before their trip. The Department of Health clarified the issue raised by the Commission on Audit regarding the 405 million worth of medical equipment purchased in 2024 that remains unused. The audit cited a lack of proper planning, defective parts, and a shortage of trained personnel to operate the machines. According to the Health Secretary, the government cannot purchase equipment without sufficient justification and thorough planning in accordance with existing government procurement processes.
This is a COA report of December 31, 2024. So released in 2025. So you have to understand there was a whole year of 2025 to fulfill the implementation of all those programs. So I still have to check if it's still 405 million that has not been installed. I will bet na-install na ang karamihan noon. So take into consideration that when you're reporting that, take the date and time that the COA did the observation.
For God, my beloved country, the Philippines, this has been Hannah Jane Sancho, SMNI News.
A tax evasion complaint amounting to more than 50 million pesos has been filed to the Department of Justice against the owner of Wawaw Builders over an alleged ghost flood control project in Malolos City, Bulacan. According to Bureau of Internal Revenue Commissioner Charlito Mendoza, the declaration of deductions and operating costs in the company tax returns for a ghost project is a sufficient basis to file the charges against him.
As given a contract to do a flood control project, a river infrastructure protection in Bulacan in 2024. He received the money, but no flood control project was actually made. So it's a ghost project, and then when he filed his returns, he declared costs for the alleged construction of the project. But since wala naman pong proyektong ginawa, so yung mga dineclare niya doon ng mga deductions, operating costs, are fictitious and inexistent.
It can be recalled that prior to Wawaw Builders the BIR had already filed multi-million peso tax evasion complaints against Sara and Curly Discaya and Sims Construction Trading. However, as of now, the DOJ has yet to file any cases in court.
Wala pa po, ongoing pa po ang preliminary investigation. Sila naman ho ang magdidetermine kung may probable cause to file the information in court.
The commissioner also assured that even senators and members of Congress allegedly linked to flood control projects are included in the BIR's ongoing investigations for the possible filing of complaints.
Lahat po ng personalities na involved, ongoing po ang investigation namin. We just have to make sure na maliwanag ang batayan natin pag nag-file tayo ng kaso.
Hala, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Uy, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Ano kayang gagawin ko? Ipamimigay ko yung konti para tumigil sila sa pag-iingay.
Pare, magnanakaw, namimigay ng pera.
Ito ang sayo.
Wow! Ang bait ng magnanakaw!
Ito naman sayo.
Kuya, yung
eto
share ko! Sana
Huwag ka nang maingay. Eto pa. Tama na yan. Nakikipalato lang kayo eh. Huwag nang maingay. Diba? Konti lang pinamigay ko, mabait na ako. Tahimik na sila. Easy. Ngayon, pwede ko na tong suluhin.
Masaya ang mga tao, pero tama po ba ito? Di po ba ang nakikinabang sa magnanakaw ay kasabwat ng magnanakaw?
Ikaw, kinukonsenti mo ba ang legal na korupsyon?
Maging alerto at handa tuwing may bagyo. Upang manatiling ligtas, narito ang ilang mahahalagang paalala. Manatili sa loob ng bahay. Iwasan ang paglabas, lalo na kung malakas ang ulan at hangin. Mag-imbak ng pagkain at malinis na tubig. Maghanda ng emergency kit. Manatiling updated sa lagay ng panahon. Maghanda ng mga flashlight at extra baterya. Panatilihing fully charged ang iyong cellphone. I-secure ang mahahalagang dokumento sa waterproof na lalagyan. Patayin ang kuryente, gas at tubig kung may banta ng pagbaha. Alamin ang iyong local emergency hotlines. Putulin o tapyasan ang mga sanga ng puno na maaaring mabuwal sa malakas na ulan at hangin. Lumikas agad kung inabisuhan ng mga otoridad. Maging ligtas at maging handa sa panahon ng kalamidad. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
The U.S. Justice Department has quietly dropped its claim that Venezuela's so-called Cartel de los Soles is an actual drug trafficking organization, backing away from a key allegation long used to portray President Nicolas Maduro as a drug kingpin. This story from Jane Cognita.
It was a low-profile decision with potentially far-reaching implications. The U.S. Department of Justice quietly dropped its claim on the so-called Cartel de los Soles as an actual drug trafficking organization. The shift appears in a revised indictment unsealed after U.S. authorities captured Maduro. In the new filing, prosecutors no longer describe Cartel de los Soles as a structured organization. Instead, they say the term refers to a patronage system and a culture of corruption within Venezuela's civilian, military, and intelligence ranks. Earlier indictments, first filed in 2020 and later echoed by U.S. sanctions and terror organizations, portrayed the Cartel de los Soles as a cartel led by Maduro and accused of coordinating cocaine trafficking and arming Colombian rebels. That framing was repeatedly questioned by experts, who said the phrase originated as Venezuelan media slang for officials corrupted by drug money, not a real group. In the rewritten indictment, references to the cartel are sharply reduced. Prosecutors now allege that Maduro, like his predecessor Hugo Chavez, participated in and protected a system where drug profits flowed upward to senior officials. The document describes the term Cartel de los Soles as shorthand for that system, named after the sun insignia worn by high-ranking Venezuelan officers. The revision casts doubt on the Trump administration's earlier decision to designate the Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization, a move that does not require proof in court. U.S. agencies, including the DEA and the United Nations, have never listed the group as a major drug trafficking organization. Despite the change, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has continued to refer to the Cartel de los Soles as an active cartel, saying the U.S. reserves the right to strike drug operations tied to it. The revised indictment also adds the alleged leader of the Venezuelan prison gang, Tren de Aragua, as a co-conspirator, though analysts say the link to major drug shipments remains thin. U.S. intelligence assessments have previously concluded the gang does not operate under Maduro's direction. While the Justice Department's case against Maduro for drug trafficking remains, the latest filing narrows its claims, retreating from the idea of a cartel and reframing the case around systematic corruption at the highest levels of the Venezuelan state. This has been Jane Conita, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
Demonstrators gathered in South Minneapolis after a U.S. ICE officer fatally shot and killed a 37-year-old American woman who was struck in the head while sitting in her SUV monitoring federal enforcement activity. Almar Forzuelo reports.
Outrage erupted in Minneapolis after an ICE officer fatally shot and killed a 37-year-old American woman. The incident occurred at the intersection of East 34th Street and Portland Avenue, drawing a crowd and residents and protesters to the scene. Multiple videos emerged showing the moment that the woman was shot by an ICE agent. Local media says the woman was in her SUV monitoring federal enforcement activity when ICE agents approached. Authorities say an officer fired at least 3 shots through the windshield as the vehicle moved forward, striking her in the head. She was later pronounced dead at Hennepin Healthcare. The shooting has sparked outrage across the community, with demonstrators demanding answers and accountability from both federal and local authorities. Authorities say details about the circumstances surrounding the shooting remain limited.
We aren't aware of all those details, but and most importantly, we realize I should not be here. So that is the focus right now, is getting them to leave the scene. So we will continue to share updates. We at least want to let you know you see ICE cars moving away from the scene. So we want to let you all know that.
President Donald Trump defended the ICE agent, saying he was acting in self-defense and asserting that the woman was obviously a professional agitator. U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, meanwhile, defended the ICE agent, also saying he acted in self-defense.
I say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's very clear that this individual was harassing and impeding law enforcement operations. Our officer followed his training, did exactly what he's been taught to do in that situation, and took actions to defend himself and defend his fellow law enforcement officers. The officer was hit by the vehicle. She hit him. He went to the hospital. A doctor did treat him. He has been released, but he's going to spend some time with his family.
Meanwhile, Mayor Jacob Frey rejected claims that the agent acted in self-defense, a garbage narrative. Frey insisted that ICE should get out of Minneapolis.
Somebody is dead. That's on you. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. To the family, I'm so deeply sorry. We're going to be working towards justice as quickly as we possibly can right now, and justice is what we've all got to get.
Law enforcement officials have confirmed that the investigation is ongoing and no further information has been released regarding the identity of the agent or the victim. City leaders are urging calm while federal and local authorities review the case. Reporting for Newsline World, Almar Forsuelo, SMNA News.
Disney's live-action remake of Tangled is officially back on track, with Tegan Croft cast as Rapunzel and Milo Manheim taking on the role of Flynn Rider, marking a major step forward for the long-awaited adaptation of the beloved animated film. Meanwhile, actor David Harbour has exited the upcoming film Behemoth following the conclusion of Stranger Things. Blake Ann has all the buzz.
Disney's live-action adaptation of Tangled is officially moving forward once again, with two young stars landing the highly anticipated lead roles. Actress Tegan Croft, known for her work in Titans and True Spirit, has been cast as Rapunzel, the spirited princess with magical long hair. Joining her is Milo Manheim, popular for Disney's Zombies franchise in Dancing with the Stars, who will portray the charming thief Flynn Rider. The project had faced delays in previous years, but Disney has now renewed momentum as casting decisions signal a major step toward production. Fans of the original 2010 animated film are eagerly watching as the studio brings the beloved fairy tale to life with a fresh cast and modern retelling. No official release date has been announced yet, but anticipation continues to build as Disney expands its lineup of live-action adaptations. Actor David Harbour has withdrawn from what was expected to be his next major film project following the conclusion of Stranger Things. The 50-year-old actor was set to star in the upcoming Searchlight Pictures film Behemoth alongside Pedro Pascal and Olivia Wilde, but has now exited the production. No official reason has been disclosed for Harbour's departure. The move comes in the aftermath of the highly anticipated Stranger Things finale, which marked the end of Harbour's long-running role as Jim Hopper. Searchlight Pictures has not yet announced whether the role will be recast or how the change may affect the film's production timeline. And that's all for now. I'm Blake Ann, bringing you the latest show buzz.
Indonesia has reached a historic milestone in wildlife conservation with the birth of its first giant panda cub at Taman Safari, Indonesia, marking a major success in international cooperation and endangered species protection. Joy Tabanao has the story.
Indonesia marked a historic conservation success as Taman Safari Indonesia in Bogor, West Java officially welcomed the country's first giant panda cub. An achievement hailed as a symbol of international cooperation and hope for wildlife preservation. The male cub named Satrio Wiratama, or Rio, which means hero, was personally named by President Prabowo Subianto. Born on November 27 last year, Rio's arrival is being celebrated as a landmark moment for both conservation science and Indonesia-China relations. Invited guests offered a rare glimpse of Rio under close veterinary care, cradled by his mother, Huchun. The cub was carefully weighed and measured to monitor his growth, though officials said he is not yet ready for public viewing. Rio was conceived through assisted reproductive technology, following years of preparation and scientific collaboration. According to Taman Safari Indonesia veterinarian, natural mating among pandas presents major challenges, including the need for extensive experience between panda pairs and a long, delicate process that can affect fertility. The Forestry Ministry also welcomed the birth as more than just a conservation triumph and noted the 3 Indonesian presidents have now witnessed the development of giant pandas in the country, calling it a testament to strengthening diplomatic ties between Indonesia and the People's Republic of China. Rio is the first major success of the Indonesia-China Giant Panda Conservation Partnership, which began in 2017 with the arrival of parent pandas Kai Tao and Huchun under 10-year joint research and conservation program. With this achievement, Indonesia joins a select group of countries in Southeast Asia, alongside Singapore and Malaysia, to successfully support giant panda conservation. reinforcing its growing role in global wildlife protection efforts. Joy Tabanao, your citizen correspondent reporting for Newsline World.
The Ursa Minor Interstellar City team is hosting an underwater film festival as part of a long-term plan to showcase human visual arts in space and eventually on the moon, using innovative playback technology and live streaming for global audiences. Fatima Nozil has a story.
A group of space enthusiasts is taking film festivals to new depths, literally. The Ursa Minor Interstellar City UMIC team is hosting what they call the Galaxy Film Festival.
我们有一个愿景，在10年之内，我在水下是模仿在太空当中，举办我们的电影节，播放我们的人类视觉影像艺术。然后，但是不仅仅止于水下，我也可以。接下来我们要在平流层近太空，地球上空去做这个播放。然后再高一层就是进入轨道，绕地轨道。然后10年内，我们希望做到在月球表面，我们能设立一个播放系统。
Members of the MIC have been installing, testing, and debugging the underwater playback device, lowering it into the water to create a fully immersive viewing experience. The underwater festival is designed to be accessible even to participants without diving experience.
大部分的人，他的就是觉得这个事情很好，但是他如果没有长途旅行，没有学潜水，没有潜水证，他参与不了我们这个叙事。但是我这次做水下电影节的话，其实是我们是降低了参与的门槛。比如说，他给我们上传就是一段影片，他的作品可以在我们水下太空城模拟太空。
The UMIC team hopes their innovative approach will combine art, technology, and a sense of interstellar community, reaching audiences both in water and across the globe. Reporting, this has been Fatima Nozil, SMNI News.
Simon Yates has stunned the cycling world by announcing his retirement with immediate effect, despite just capturing the 2025 Giro d'Italia title 7 months ago. Meanwhile, Manchester United interim boss Darren Fletcher had to settle for a draw in his first match in charge after Jadon Anthony's late goal forced a draw at Turf Moor. Here's a report.
Simon Yates, a two-time Grand Tour champion from Great Britain and a key rider for Visma, leased a bike, has decided to step away from professional cycling at the age of 33, ending a career that saw him compete at the sport's highest level for more than a decade. The British rider leaves while still at the top, capping a memorable season that included a Tour de France stage win and his second overall Grand Tour victory at the 2025 Giro d'Italia. Yates said the decision followed long personal reflection, stressing that it was made with care at the moment that felt right for him. Team officials praised his Giro performance as extraordinary, noting how he peaked when few expected it and rewrote his story on the iconic Col delle Fine Street climb. From his early days turning professional alongside twin brother Adam to amassing 11 Grand Tour stage wins, Yates' career stands as one defined by resilience, timing, and quiet brilliance. His exit, coming at the start of a new season, remains a rare and shocking move, but one that seals his legacy at an absolute high. Meanwhile, Burnley took a surprise lead before halftime despite failing to test the goalkeeper, as Aiden Heaven's deflection from a Bashir Humphreys cross looked into the net. United hit back after the break, with Benjamin Sesko sparking the comeback by firing home from a Bruno Fernandes pass before doubling his tally with a clinical finish from Patrick Dorgu's delivery. The home side responded through substitute Jadon Anthony, who cut inside and unleashed a powerful left-footed strike that left St. Lumens with no chance. United pushed for a late winner, with youngster Shea Lacey striking the crossbar, but were ultimately forced to settle for a third consecutive draw. The result denied United a move into the top four and underlined the challenges ahead as the club continues to navigate a period of transition off the pitch.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the sun. Humility and sincerity are what counts in the character of a man. And that's all for today's edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Carlo de la Peña. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.